Welcome everyone to the Empath community call. I'm Jeremy. Glad to be here with our community without conditions where everyone can bring what is uniquely theirs. Excited for this week to drop back in with community. There's so much shifting in the field. And if you'd like, you can go check out all the things we have going on over at empathx.org. You can find an archive, you can find a schedule. There's a place to make a contribution, be involved in a Facebook group. And here we are today, and this week we get to hear from Brian. So, Brian, hey, buddy.
Howdy, glad to be here.
Tip of the old cap to you, laddie.
It'll increase the glare, but there it is.
What?
Anyway, I'm just glad to be here. I realized that I needed to do a little talk around the what do we need to do, and frankly, more importantly, who do we need to be in the middle of this extremely polarized and polarizing political, social environment in which we find ourselves. And the thing is, it feels like it's been forced upon us. So cognitive dissonance is running very high. Resentment and frustration and anger are running very high. All of that is running very high amid created chaos. The thing about each of the emotions that I just mentioned that they all have in common is that they all start here. They all start in your brain. In my book, go to chapter 5. Feel free to go get the book called Access the Real You, Touching Your Divinity and Applying Its Wisdom to Your Life. In chapter 5, I talk about the Adam and Eve story, my version of the Adam and Eve story, and what the biblical writers may have intended. What I believe they intended in the Adam and Eve story was it's not about disobeying God and original sin, and we're inherently evil and all that stuff. What they were trying to say was if you eat from this tree, the fruit of this tree, you'll have the knowledge of good and evil. Don't eat from that tree. We don't want you to have the knowledge of good and evil. So the story was written, and clergy who wanted to control us and make a bunch of money off of people in the guilt trip said, this means you're inherently evil and you got to buy your way out of hell or purgatory or whatever. I think what they were trying to say is if you have knowledge, i.e., letting the brain run the show, the brain must differentiate. It must separate and analyze and categorize and sort and divide so that it can save stuff in the memory bank for later. It's like a hard drive. Nothing can stay in there unless there's a place to put it. And to put everything into its place, everything has to be discerned, analyzed, categorized from everything else so that it can be saved for later. But in doing so, everything is separated. Us, them, good, evil, right, wrong, you, me, Democrat, Republican. It's all about brain generated division because that's the way the brain operates. The brain cannot know oneness. The brain cannot know connection. If I'm in that place free of my brain chatter, I can make eye contact with someone and connect with them in a deep, powerful place. People use the word namaste. Namaste generally translates as the divine light in me can see and bear witness to the divine light in you. The thing that most folks don't talk about is if I'm not in the place of my own light and my own divinity, I can't see the divine light in someone else. And I've never heard anyone else talk about this, if I am present to the divine light in me and I make eye contact intentionally, willfully, attentively, lovingly with someone in front of me, I can awaken in them their divine light by my own intention. What we need to do, who we need to be in the middle of this political chaos is present. Who we need to be is loving, even and especially for the people we don't like. Because if we can be present to someone we don't like, we can let our brain chatter go, leaving us in a clearer state of presence and connection. So we can make eye contact with that person in front of us that we may vehemently disagree with. But being present to my own cognitive dissonance, to be present to my own frustration, sadness, disappointment, anger, pain, and let that go opens the door for everything else. Underneath all of those surface emotions like anger, frustration, pain is caring. Because if you didn't care, it wouldn't matter. But this is stuff we care about. We care about our fellow human beings. We care about people who don't have as much as we do, who are getting shafted right now. People without power are getting shafted by people with power. And the fact is, this stuff's been going on a long time. People make it sound like we're in the middle of the rise of fascism. Big banks took over the United States currency and our own printing presses in 1913. This is not a new thing. It's just now more out in the open and brazen, and people are angry. Our own American military is being sent into American cities to influence American citizens in the name of whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is there's a bunch of chaos being created by people who know that if we're upset, we can't think as clearly. We can't be clear. It's tougher for most folks to be loving, to be present, to be aware, to make eye contact after making capital eye contact. When I can drop my brain chatter, and that doesn't mean stopping my brain. It means separating what I call the real me from the brain chatter so that the chatter can be the brain chatter. My upset stomach and my headache and my backache and my knee pain or whatever physical manifestation my upset is taking in my body is meaningless unless I give it meaning. If I can render it meaningless by simply stepping back from the brain chatter, stepping back from the bodily sensations, and stand in the noticer place, which is separate from that, then I'm tuning into my own beingness, my own soul, my own divinity, which is much bigger, much more powerful, much greater than any of that chaos. At that point, I can have my upset. My upset doesn't have me. I can notice my upset and allow it, fully allow it to go full bloom. And if I need to scream a couple of minutes, okay, scream. Then I can get back to being present. Who we have to be is present. Who we have to be is loving. Who we have to be is in the awareness of our inherent connection in the oneness of all that is. That is what is so. If we're not present to that, it's kind of like it doesn't exist. It's like if I'm driving to see my son in Austin, I'm in Albuquerque. If I'm driving to see my son, I can see him, I can visualize him. I'm not with him. But in the holding space for me to arrive to be with him brings me that connection with him. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's about who we're being. If we can be in the awareness of the oneness is more likely to occur. If we can be grounded in our own beingness, we can make eye contact. We can smile. We can hug someone we don't even like in the love that we are, which they will feel. But are we willing to be that in the face of the chaos? When we are, we have the power. When we are not, we've given that power away to someone who is willfully, intentionally manipulating us. Because it's human nature to analyze and divide and categorize. But that's not who we are. That's who our brains are making up that each of us may be. Male, female, black, white, brown, red, yellow, Democrat, Republican, independent, green, whatever. Any and all of that is crap in the face of the oneness and inherent connection that we all share and the love that is ever present, regardless. Doug's wearing a hat that would otherwise have me really pissed off.
Better take it off, Doug.
I got to
There
do
you
it.
go. Doug's wearing that T that is for some electric car, but I think it actually stands for tyranny and terrible. And
It's good.
so that's really all I've got. It's not about what there is to do, it's about who there is to be. Because who we're being will determine what we're going to do. If we can be loving, we're going to do loving things. If we can be present to the oneness, the division won't happen, won't take over. But we all have to meet as many people as possible, make eye contact, give them a hug, especially the people we don't like, and let them know that we see them as valid because many of them are leaning right now because it feels validating. We all want to feel validated. Go out and validate somebody today. I used to do this thing every year where I hugged like literally hundreds of people the weekend before or after Valentine's Day down in Austin.
Mm.
When we hug people, people are moved.
Mm-hmm.
When we make eye contact, people are moved.
Mm-hmm.
That is who and what we need to be being and doing.
Mm.
That's what I got.
Mm.
Well, that's the story of life in a beautiful way, because what we're here to do is, you talk about left and right, and I'm not very good at identifying left and right.
It's another brain generated divisive thing.
Mhm.
It's pointless.
Mm-hmm.
It's
But
another label.
I'm suggesting that it's also possible to lift rather than left or right, to lift your spirit and actually see things from wholeness, see things from a higher vibration than maybe we used to be able to see. And we've got plenty of room to grow up, but
And it's available. It's
uh-huh.
always available.
Mm-hmm.
All we got to do is open to it, and then we're in the oneness. We're in the connection.
And I think that's our job to talk about, to bring people to the awareness that left and right will, and unless you find the center, going up is going to be a difficulty.
Mm. Jane, what were you going to say to all that?
Well, it's so, I just thought of something that I was listening to right before I got here when they were talking about on a podcast about the Velvet Revolution and how basically fascism and communism just came to its knees by people learning how to be engaged with each other and authentic through gardening. And like these tiny things like no one would have guessed. And it happened really fast. And that made me think of you, Doug, when you're saying that we're up for, and I know when you talk about the time ahead, you get very excited, and it's good for me to watch because I think sometimes with dread about, well, what's this all going to play? How's this going to play out? But that it could, in fact, be what if? What if everybody went up instead of like, and then I saw it this weekend with the guy that killed Charlie Kirk was going for arraignment, and the judge was this perfect example of exactly what you're talking about, Brian, because he sat there and he had such decorum and respect for everybody in that courtroom. And he talked to, are you all ready? Are you all ready? And then the gunman was apparently not in the courtroom. He was on a Zoom or something, and the judge said, and good morning to you, sir. Or, like he wished him a good morning. In other words, like where Trump would have us with pitchforks,
Mm.
or going after the libs or whatever, he like acknowledged the man's humanity.
Mm.
And clearly, I mean, we don't even know if he's guilty or not, but the fact that in his courtroom, there would be,
Respect.
yes, and it was genuine. And then what the thing they said in this podcast is that really what brings this all about is authenticity. So I was thinking about,
Mm.
okay, so love versus authenticity. I don't think there's much difference. It's really contagious, like wonderful thing that, so if you're authentic, you're exuding all of that love, right?
Man, y'all open up a cans of worms today.
And that's going to make for a really fertile garden.
That's it.
That's right.
I think one of the things that it keeps coming up over and over again is how much of our society and our perception of it is based on this.
Yes, right.
I have no idea what's real anymore.
Right.
As far as like any sort of thing beyond my boundaries or the people that I know personally, which, I might list as 100 people, 200 if I really stretched it. There's almost, 400 million people in the US. I mean, just and the things that we like are easy to say, like that's just not clear. You could point to all sorts of but I think like Brian said at the head, it's like really the only thing that is through all those is trying to get us at each other, to separate, to
Mhm.
divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
So Janie, as you were talking, it reminded me of a thought that came through my field that I really like is like, imagine all the people that are like, I'm not on either side. I'm really here for, and I think it's way more than we give ourselves credit for. I think it's an overwhelming majority that are like, I don't fit on either side, but the society itself that's dying, that we are being birthed through, this is what I hear us saying collectively is like we're focusing on the baby we're birthing, not the placenta that we're shedding,
Mm-hmm.
not the womb that is going. This separation is for good. How would I know forgiveness if there weren't some ought that I was upset, legitimate boundary like violation, all
Yeah.
these divine things that we get to like to know that, oh, this talk about, oh, authenticity is greater than love. It's like, Jane, I'm with you. We obviously have misunderstood love if we have something that's greater than love.
Yeah. And
So
I
just
mean,
like being with all these like undefinable things, this is what I hear Brian saying is like, know what you can do something about and beam out love to the rest and just stay here. And I'd
Yep.
rather make a huge impact on 5 people's lives than expend myself to try to make 5 million contacts that never remember me.
mhm.
What were
Yeah.
you saying, Jane?
No, I just agree. I mean, I think it's there. I'm going to send you guys this podcast because he was talking exactly about what you just said. And he said that there's a big misconstrued feeling that he is at heart, and he's teaching at Harvard, and they've done studies and studies upon studies of, surveys of people, what they want, really what you want. What do you really want?
Mm.
And they made it so you can't game it. And what people really want, I mean, it's poignant, they want to have meaningful work where they feel like they're making a difference in people's lives and making this place better, like a legacy of kindness, and to love the people that are in their lives and their families. And those are like the big priorities, you know?
Yeah.